I don't think that if the Bears win 8 games, even though that would be a disappointment, it'd be 1 win improvement from last year. It would be a disappointment.
Oh, Danny, you're wrong. Like you think that if the Bears win 8 games this year, people are going to be accepting that?
I think that people are going to be very upset about that.
Oh,
I think they will not be accepting it. But what will we be able to do? We'll just be mad. We'll just be tweeting about it and talking about it on the radio. And I do not think it will mean that like Caleb Williams is a failure or that Caleb Williams will buckle under that pressure.
It depends on what Caleb does, though.
Exactly. It depends what Caleb does. If the Bears win 7 games, 8 games, like an underwhelming season in terms of wins and losses, but Caleb looks really good, Matt Eberflus will be fired. It's not going to fall on Caleb. Is not going to get some sort of like 1-year sample, and then we'll be like, well, we got to find the next one. He's going to get more time than that. I don't think he's going to need it. I think he's going to prove that he's the guy week 1, and certainly by week 5. Like I think it is going to be very clear beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I don't get the sense that Caleb Williams is going to have a Mitch Trubisky, we got to get these TVs turned off moment. Like I don't think he is going to buckle under some weight of expectations that you, me, the beat reporters, the national media, the TV talking heads, whomever, like this guy has had a spotlight on him for forever, even just the last 2 years. 1 year he was crazy successful, won a Heisman Trophy. The other year he had a great statistical season, but it was a really tough year wins and losses wise. And Ryan Poles has said that helped him, that it helped in the evaluation. So I think he's learned how to fail under the weight of great expectations. I don't think that like Chicago or the media or fans or booing or takes or virality or Instagram comments or whatever Sean King could possibly be referring to as expectations and pressure, I don't think it's going to break this kid.
The thing that I didn't like that Sean King said, and I agree with that for the most part, although Chicago is a different animal than anything that he will have ever dealt with. And I get it. All eyes were on him at USC, but not a lot of bad things happened to him at USC. And I would imagine that their media was probably a little bit more friendly towards him just because of what he was and what he represented and what they all think he's going to become. What I didn't like about what Sean King said is that he just kind of blew it off as, they added a couple of pieces. Like, just because they added a couple of pieces, I mean, you got to look at the whole picture of what's going on. Like, Keenan Allen is not just a guy who you've just added a couple of pieces. That is a massive, massive signing to go along with DJ Moore, to have drafted Rome Odunze, to have the guy that everybody refers to as a generational quarterback in Caleb Williams, and then not even really taking into account the defense, which I think, for my money, despite what Detroit is doing, still the best defense in the division. And that might be, like, I still think Detroit's better than the Bears right now. I think that they probably will have a better season than the Bears this year, but it might come down to also the team that can stop somebody the best. And the Bears defense is not elite. I don't even think it's great, but they have a good defense. And I think right now, until we see the rest of the teams in motion, they've got the best defense in the division.
They should have the best defense in the division. I think the Packers' defense, which has underperformed and underachieved so terribly the last couple of years, what they did upgrading at defensive coordinator and changing out defensive coordinator, I think they can't really do worse than what Joe Barry did there. So I think that just being more aggressive, press man, just like having an attitude, all of that stuff, I think that actually is going to help with blanking. Jeff, is it Hatley, the defensive coordinator from Boston College? I think that the Packers defense, I don't think can be worse, because they've got a lot of talent and they just grossly underachieved. But the Bears should have the best defense in the division. I agree. He's underselling the additions that they made. But what consequences are really going to be there for Caleb Williams if they underachieve this year?
Well, yeah, like you said, if he is good, then it's all good with Caleb Williams. And it would be weird for Caleb Williams to have a terrific year this year and it not correlate with winning.
It's very hard to imagine. Very hard to imagine. Yeah. But I just I think this team's got an incredibly high floor. Incredibly high floor. And we did the numbers a few weeks ago on the show. Even if they're just a top half of the league offense and a top half of the league defense, you're a winning team. Like you will have a winning record. Mm-hmm. So that is a 9-8 floor. There were, I think, 8 teams last year that were top 15 in both. 7 of them made the playoffs. So it feels like this team should be top half of the league in both. So I don't think the expectations around Caleb Williams are unreasonable. Win 9 or 10 games, make the playoffs, have a good season. I don't think that's unreasonable given what he has on defense and on offense around him.
Yes.
Saying that he's got to go to the Super Bowl is unreasonable. Saying that he's got to be better than C.J. Stroud in year 1 is unreasonable.
Yeah, but they're going to be expecting that, man. Unfortunately for everybody, C.J. Stroud has screwed it up, especially for somebody like Caleb Williams, who everybody has assumed is going to be great going into this year.
Well, yeah, listen, to be clear, I am not in the business of tamping down expectations on Caleb Williams. I think it is in play that he could be better than C.J. Stroud. I think it's very unlikely that he'll be better than C.J. Stroud in terms of the low interception numbers, because we've never seen that before. We've never seen that type of production with 6 interceptions or 5 interceptions, whatever he finished with last year. That's completely ridiculous. But 4,000-plus yards, more than I think he was only 26 touchdowns or something like that. Like, I think it's absolutely in play that he's a 4,000-yard passer, a 30-touchdown quarterback, and he wins a playoff game, which that's the yardage number that Stroud hit. That's more touchdowns than Stroud hit, and Stroud won a playoff game. The difference is Stroud won a division, so he got a playoff game at home, and then he had to go to Baltimore. The NFC North is in a real good spot.
Yeah.
The Lions have a top 10 coach in the NFL. They kept Ben Johnson. They've got an excellent offense, and they kept investing on defense. They've been good now for 2 years. They were in the NFC Championship game last year. The Packers have arguably a top 5 coach in the NFL, were the youngest offense in the league last year, upgraded at defensive coordinator, and they should be as good or better. The NFC North might be the best division in football. So it's possible that all 3 of those teams, Bears, Lions, and Packers, make the playoffs in the NFC this year.
Yeah, I was talking to Sam Monson the other night from Pro Football Focus, their lead analyst, and I think he had Detroit in like the top 3 of his of drafts in the NFL this year. Terry and Arnold alone to have gotten what looks like a really good cornerback. I mean, that's huge.
They needed it.
Dallas Turner was my favorite edge rusher, like coming out of college.
He goes to Minnesota.
He goes to Minnesota, where you have J.J. McCarthy. I mean, J.J. McCarthy is the great, wild card. Who knows what that guy turns into at the NFL level? But yeah, man, even like I think it's close. It's a close call. I mean, I can't sit here and say the Bears are ahead of Green Bay or Detroit. I definitely could say they're ahead of Minnesota, but Minnesota's like every year, they don't usually drop off the table. They could rise up again.
Well, I was going to say, listen, Kevin O'Connell is also a great coach.
Yes.
The Bears, in terms of coaches who have proven something, have the worst coach in the division. They do.
True.
Matt Eber,
although he's put together the best defense.
Yes.
And calling plays.
Yeah. By the way, I hope to be wrong about that by the end of the year, but in terms of like things that you have accomplished in the NFL, Matt LaFleur, Dan Campbell, and Kevin O'Connell have accomplished more as head coaches than Matt Eberflus has. And if the Vikings are the 4th best team in the division, and they have Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and T.J. Hawkinson as skill position players for a
pretty good nest there too.
For a top 10 pick quarterback who Jim Harbaugh says is the best quarterback in the draft, who's going to Kevin O'Connell, who got something out of Josh Dobbs last year, you know what I mean, and made Kirk Cousins a perennial 4,400-yard passer. Like that, Minnesota is if they're the worst team in the division, they're the best worst team in the division. If any team of any division in the NFL, maybe other than the AFC North.
There's multiple GMs who said that off the record that J.J. McCarthy is their either second favorite prospect or top prospect coming out of that class.
Yeah,
and
so we have to be open to the possibility. If we're open to the possibility that Caleb's going to have a great rookie year, we have to be open to the possibility that J.J. McCarthy with those weapons and Kevin O'Connell also has a very good rookie year. It can't be dismissed.
So maybe even in conclusion, like Matt Eberflus might be the guy who has the most pressure on him going into this year. It's not Caleb in the offense. It's Flus. He's got the most to lose because like Shane Waldron isn't going anywhere if Caleb Williams is good or showing promise towards the end of this season.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus is the co-favorite with It's with Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, yeah, for Coach of the Year.
Jim Harbaugh and I think DeMeco Ryans for Coach of the Year. But I also could see him getting fired.
Yeah.
You know, there's a wide range of outcomes there for. And by the way, if he gets fired, it's a terrible look for Ryan Poles. It would be a terrible look.
Why?
Because then he should have, if he's
never brought it back.
Then he should have been fired before Caleb, so that you could have hired a good offensive coach to have the continuity with Caleb.
I disagree a little bit because I do think that, I have my criticisms with Matt Eberflus and others that do. It's justifiable. But again, what he did with the defense last year, taking over that thing and calling the plays that made the defense turn around even before Montez Sweat, I thought that automatically earned him at least one more year as the head coach of the Bears. It would have been, I don't think it would have been fair to fire him last year.
Life's not fair.